Welcome back, dear viewers. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi addressed the Round Table 2, a new way, green growth partnerships within his participation in a new global financing pact summit in Paris. President Sisi said that the developing countries were the most impacted by climate change repercussions during the past years. The President reiterated that the Sustainable Development Goals should be achieved according to each country's priorities within a scheduled plan. The head of state pointed out that Egypt has a growth vision, which is based on providing job opportunities and decent living conditions to citizens. Sisi also said that Egypt set an ambitious program for transforming to new energy resources. Earlier on Wednesday, President Fattah al-Sisi received the CEO of the French global shipping company and a number of the company officials. The meeting tackled ways to expand activities of the company in Egypt in the coming period and the operation of Tahya Masr multi-purpose terminal at Alexandria Port. The President said that Egypt is keen that the cooperation with the French company represents an added value and a leap in the development of the Alexandria port to boost the activity of the port regionally and internationally. For his part, the CEO of the French global shipping company praised the business atmosphere in Egypt, which is witnessing positive development. He said that the company is looking forward to expanding cooperation within Egypt and operating additional ports. The President also received the CEO of the company, Alstom Company, Henry Part. The meeting tackled the joint cooperation with the French company in the field of mass transportation. The President praised the constructive cooperation with the company in the framework of the distinguished relations between Egypt and France. President Sisi said that Egypt is looking forward to establishing centers to train Egyptian experts to benefit from the foreign expertise. Dozens of global leaders gather in Paris on Thursday for a summit aimed at reshaping the global lending system to better help debt-burdened developing countries cope with climate change and other challenges. French President Emmanuel Macron has said the summit for a new global financial pact is aimed at finding the financial solutions to the interlinked global goals of tackling poverty, curbing plant heating emissions, and protecting nature. The details in the following report.
Dozens of global leaders gather in Paris Thursday for a summit aimed at reshaping the global lending system to better help debt-burdened developing countries cope with climate change and other challenges. French President Emmanuel Macron has said the summit for a new global financial pact is aimed at finding the financial solutions to the interlinked global goals of tackling poverty, curbing planet heating emissions, and protecting nature. He is hosting the meeting with Barbados Prime Minister Maya Motley, who has become a powerful advocate for re-imagining the role of the World Bank and International Monetary Fund in an era of climate crisis. For her part, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said on Thursday the World Bank should add disaster clauses to debt agreements with poorer countries, speaking ahead of a summit in Paris that will discuss how to boost crisis financing for low-income countries. Janet added that such clauses could be part of a broader reform of the World Bank to free up more funds. She added that the priorities of the summit were evolving multilateral development banks, debt sustainability, and mobilizing private capital. Economies have been battered by successive shocks in recent years, including COVID-19, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, spiking inflation, debt, and the spiraling cost of weather disasters intensified by global warming. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres attended the summit, besides IMF Director Kristalina Georgieva and World Bank Chief. France said that the two-day summit is a platform for ideas before a cluster of major economic and climate meetings this year. One likely announcement is that a 2019 pledge to deliver $100 billion a year in climate finance to poorer nations by 2020 will be lately fulfilled.
Minister of Defense and Military Production Mohammed Zaki attended the graduation ceremony of a new batch from Nasr Military Academy and College of Command and Staff. A documentary film was displayed at the beginning of the celebration on the Academy's training programs, which were held during the current academic year for the qualification of a number of civilians and military leaders in the political, economic, strategic and national security fields. Nasr Academy Chief Ashraf Faris addressed the ceremony, where he stressed the armed forces' keenness on providing continuous support and close follow-up on the Academy's activities in developing the educational process for its students. Meanwhile, the Defense Ministry honored the top students and granted certificates for the distinguished ones. The fourth session of the National Dialogue Committee Access kicked off on Thursday at the conference hall in Nasr City. The Committee of the Families Issues discusses, along two sessions, the reasons of domestic violence and means of facing it, as well as the electronic risks. Meanwhile, the Committee of Culture and National Identity will tackle means of expanding the benefits of the cultural institutions in Egypt. Earlier, the third session of the National Dialogue had focused on boosting youth empowerment and entrepreneur leadership. The first phase of the biggest political forum kicked off in Egypt with participation of 7 political parties. The forum aims to shed light on the political parties' efforts during the past year and review the future vision of the parties' activities. The political parties include Mustaqbal Watan, Sha'ab al-Jumhuri and the viewers others, as well as the coordination of parties, youth and politicians. Egypt condemned in the strongest term the ongoing Israeli aggression on the occupied Palestinian territories. A foreign ministry statement called for an immediate end to the violence. One Palestinian was shot dead during an Israeli settlers' rampage through Palestinian towns in the occupied West Bank, and while Palestinians buried a girl killed in an Israeli raid on Wednesday. Residents of a number of Palestinian towns reported settler attacks and other acts of violence, including torching buildings and cars. Meanwhile, senior ministers in Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government called for a full-scale military operation across the West Bank, apparent retaliation for the killing of 4 Israelis near a settlement the day before.